Good day, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to the first video segment of Walking Down the Memory Lane, where we have insightful discussions with senior professionals from the field of civil engineering. As our inaugural guest in this series, we are honored to have with us retired engineer Ranjith Thabrew. Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Very nice for considering me as a possible candidate for the interview, and I'm very grateful to engineer Kamal Laksari for suggesting my name to the SLAice actually. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So let's dive into our discussion. Could you tell us about your background a bit to start off?
Well, my engineering background, when I failed my advanced level the first time, I went to the technical college and joined the junior technical officers course, hoping to be an engineer at some stage in this thing, but circumstances changed and I was forced to sit for my A-levels once again, and I was made an offer at the University of Colombo to do a physical science degree, which I did. And after that I went to England, to Brighton particularly, and I went there with the initial thinking that I can get an exemption from the 3-year degree course and come back and do it at home in 2 years. But when I went there, I found that the Sri Lankans who had previously gone with this privilege, that they had to stay 3 years to fulfill. So the electrical engineering had decided no more to give concessions to the Sri Lanka. So then I thought my first preference is to be a civil engineer. So can I switch? And I did. And I did the civil engineering degree from 1964 to 1967. Then very late in my life, actually, when I was 51 years, and I was working in Sri Lanka, I got a British Council scholarship to do a master's, which I did at Loughborough, and I did the project management course at Loughborough for 1 year full-time course.
That's interesting. So, sir, what was your educational journey to become a civil engineer? Which school did you go to? Which schools did you go to? And the university and everything?
Yeah, I've been to several schools. I started my schooling at St. Anthony's Girls' School, playing cricket more with the girls, and for 2 years. Then I was moved to Nalanda Vidyalaya, where I was there for 3 years. Then family circumstances, my father being not well, forced us to go to Gaul, where my mother came from. And we moved to Gaul, and I was at St. Aloysius for 2 years, because at the end of 2 years, all of us found life in Gaul was very boring. So we went, particularly my father, because he used to do a lot of activities with the YMBA and other places, which those things were not there. So we came back to Colombo and then rejoined Nalanda again. But while being in Nalanda, my father being an Ananda, a contemporary of Dr. Emperor Philip Gunawardena, and he wished me to join Ananda, and some other, he spoke to his colleague, Mr. Karnananda, and got me a place at Ananda, where I joined at the senior class in 1954. And I stayed at Ananda till 1958.
Mm-hmm. So it's 4 schools, if I'm
4
correct.
schools altogether.
So the university, it was Brighton University for the bachelor's, is it?
It is, the time I went, it was not a university, it was a college, technical college. And they offered a diploma course in civil and structural engineering. So that was a 3-year full-time course.
And how about the master's, sir? Where was the master's done? The master's?
The master's was at the Loughborough University.
All right, okay. So what was your first job after graduating from university be like, from college?
Well, after the physical science degree, I went and taught at Dharmapala Vidyalaya for 6 months, basically to save some money for me to go to England, because I need money to pay for the take me by ship, which was the cheapest form of traveling to England at that time, and there were a lot of financial restrictions. During Mrs. Bandaranaga time, we were only allowed £3 in the hand for the whole journey, which lasted 21 days. So we had to struggle through to achieve what we wanted actually. But I was determined to go to England and do my engineering, which I couldn't do in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so that actually explains how determined you were to move to London and get your degree done. So the next question that we have is, can you share some of the most challenging or let's call memorable projects that you have worked in your career life?
Yes, there are quite a few actually memorable ones. One was when I was still having my training in England with a consulting firm called Gifford and Partners in Southampton. Mr. Gifford, being an enthusiast on hovercraft travel, along with another scientist called Sir Christopher Cockrell, they wanted to build a elevated track to run an experimental hovercraft. And this was done in just off Cambridge in England. And the work had to be done to very high tolerances, because you cannot, in a hover train when it is moving fast, like the Japanese high-speed trains that are going in, the tolerances, the differences when you are putting pre-stressed concrete box units together, they cannot be more than 1 over 1,000 missing. So our job as part of the residence engineer was to make sure that those tolerances were maintained right through this thing. That was the first one. The second one was when during my time in Sri Lanka, I was invited by my Mr. Gifford himself to go to Nigeria and to do a assessment of a steel bridge connecting the Lagos capital and the main island, which was in a very badly corroded state. So I and a team which included 2 others, we spent most of our time in the water, climbing up those steel structures, taking photographs of all the corroded areas, and unbelievable that the structure was still intact. So we had to stop the traveling of vehicles immediately with this thing and do the redesign. So that was a very interesting one. And the third interesting one was the composite extension to the office at the Institute of Engineers, Sri Lanka. That was done about 12 years ago actually, where the IESL commissioned me as the project coordinator. So where I had to coordinate the work between the architect, the engineers and the contractor. That's a very unusual steel structure where the columns are going at an angle and things like that. Some of you would have already noticed. It's very interesting, and it's a concept developed by the architect Mano Ponnaya.
All right, sir. Those seem actually very interesting. And from all those experiences, what has been the most remote or unique location a project has taken you?
The remote location, yes, I would say the jobs that I did in Nigeria, they were very remote actually. So some of them, because when I first went in, I was based in the town called Ibadan, which was a cosmopolitan place where there were quite a few Sri Lankans, and I was able to keep my family with me there. But my work carried me to faraway places. Nigeria is a vast country. And so very often I had to fly out to some of those sites, which are places called Yola, which is on the east coast. And when you go there, you get stuck there for days because there's a thing called Hamatan. The dust from the Sahara Desert comes and hovers into the land. And no flights could take it. and not even, it's not easy even to drive by road actually, even though I was having a vehicle given at that time. So we get stuck, and then my family were really struggling with me being away. So that was one of the worst, remotest places that I had to work with.
And is that the most dangerous situation that you have encountered in your work as well, or is there something else?
No, the dangerous one was the Carter Bridge actually, because that was very risky actually, because that was very really rotten water. The water way was very bad. If you fell into that water by any chance, then you end up with all sorts of diseases. So that was very dangerous in that sense.
So looking back in your journey, what would you consider your greatest career accomplishment?
I think that my greatest accomplishment was my joining the Board of Investment, the Infrastructure Bureau of Infrastructure section as the Deputy Director General actually, where the government of Sri Lanka under Mrs. Chandrika Bandaranayake was trying to attract the foreign investors to come in and do a lot of projects like the extension of the Queen Elizabeth Quay at the port. Then there were several other power projects that have been in gestation for 4, 5, 6 years without being concluded. So my challenge was to finish and bring these jobs to conclusion. And I was on a 3-year contract. And during that time, I'm very happy that I was able to achieve quite a lot of those projects, like crystallization, the Colombo port with P&O and John Keels. Then the first power project at Sapukaskanda. Then there was a barge mounted project in the harbour that was done by the Japanese. That project had been discussed for about 10 years. The Japanese consultants have been coming, but nothing been finalized. But the determination and the freedom that I was given to bring projects to a closure, I was able to, with a good team. We had a very good team actually who were working for me with support from the USAID for the financial support. So we were able to do that. Then again, the other projects were getting the expressway started in Sri Lanka. That is the cream deluxe of my life actually, because it's something that has opened up Sri Lanka with the express roads. Colombo Kattanayake I was again, even though I was the Deputy Director General, I acted more like the coordinator with the Road Development Authority, because they were all been discussing this job for 15 to 20 years without crystallizing it. I was able to do that and then get bids from several contractors to do this on a BOT basis. But sadly, at that time, the system got disrupted because of people with personal interest looking to make backhanders, and I think the way I structured the job could not be finished. So, but it took them a project that was envisaged to cost only 10 billion Sri Lankan rupees, finally ended up costing something like 250 billion rupees to get the Colombo Kattanayake road done. I was also instrumental in making the initial discussions and convincing the Asia Development Bank, ADB, to get the Southern Expressway going actually, because it needed a lot of talking to convince them the value of opening up the Southern Expressway, because it was very important. So those things were very important. Then there were these other housing projects that were also done, one in Aturugiriya and the one in Jayala, that were all done through the BII. So it's a very satisfying achievement that I would call it myself.
Yes, it's actually very inspiring to hear how eventful your career life has been for us being fellow civil engineering undergraduates right now. And the next question that we have is what innovative new technologies or techniques are you most excited about in civil engineering?
I am very impressed with the software development for design and everything actually that has come in. But I have one reservation about everything being IT based, because I as an engineer would like to have an input on my own on the designs. This is lacking actually, because at the moment you have software, you are only just inputting the data. Whereas the thinking capacity which we had as undergraduate trainees is lacking at the moment. So, but otherwise, we are development-wise very high-rise buildings and difficult conditions are achievable now because of the software development.
That is true, sir. So this is the most looked forward question for today, sir, actually. What advice would you give to students or young people considering a career in civil engineering today?
Well, civil engineering is the closest engineering to the human society. And in that sense, we must learn to appreciate that we provide the right balance of everything. Because if you look at some of the other engineering aspects, like electrical, mechanical, we may be able to, people may be able to do without. But what the civil engineers provide, like the water, the housing, the roads, the sanitary part of it, are bare essentials for survival of human beings. So we must understand this as students and engineers and provide services which are value addition to their human life.
Yes, that's actually really great advice from you. So being a key instrumental in many of these projects, can you describe your leadership style and philosophy when managing teams and major projects?
I am a strong believer of teamwork, but allowing the individuals to do their work. I think that's very important. But you need. I do not believe in meetings after meetings and meetings. You must allow, but the monitoring part must be done by the team leader with the individuals and rally with that as a team, so that the best productive part can be achieved.
So that's actually really great. So are there any areas of expertise you wish you had spent more time developing early in your career?
In my case, personally, no. I prefer to be a general engineer, even though I have spent more time on highways, and I'm a fellow of the Institute of Highways, and I prefer to be a general engineer. That's why I have worked in almost all the different fields of civil engineering at the moment.
All right. So it has been a timely topic, sustainable development in the present. So what role should sustainability and environmental impact play in modern civil engineering projects?
I think both are very important. If you do not believe in sustainability, there's no sense in providing a service. We can design a house which will last only 10 years. That's not the idea. Our codes allow us to design things to 40, 50 years nowadays. So that sustainability must be maintained at all the time. But at the same time, environmental issues are very important. We must comply, because we cannot destroy our natural environment and the soil of other things. But sadly, in this case, what I notice is, especially in countries like Sri Lanka, we have a lobby of people actually who are supported by outside organizations who make a lot of noise about environmental issues, trying to cripple the development projects. That should not happen, because there are always mitigatory solutions to all the problems. I'll give you a good example. When we were looking at the Colombo-Kotnaka Expressway. I had a whole lot of people descending on me saying that we are going to disturb the fish in the waters that the road was going through. So I asked them, you are saying that, give me the solution. None of them has the solution. That is what is important. The people can criticize, but they must come out with their solutions. So finally I got down, it's the noise pollution. I said, right, if I put some barriers on either side of the roadway where the waterways are going, will that help? They said, yes. And that's what we did. We put some sound barriers. But I'm not sure whether it will doing any useful thing, whether the fish are there or not. But at least it satisfied the environmental requirement.
All right, sir. So, what has been the most awe-inspiring, impactful structure you have helped build? The structure-wise.
Structure.
Yes.
Yeah, the inspiring one, I think I did mention it, is the one that impressed me was not the high rises actually, it's this office extension done at the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, a composite construction. That is unique in that to me actually, because that's it. Lot of engineers had doubts about the sustainability of that project. Here again, being a composite structure, but I'm a little sad to notice that the institution at the moment is not doing the proper maintenance work, because anything that's steel needs to have regular inspections and the maintenance must be done to achieve the longevity, that the life that we expect actually. So I think those are very important. It's the same now. We are having a lot of flyovers. I noticed the one in Nugegoda, the corrosion has already started. Now it's only about maybe 7 or 8 or 10 years. But no, I have never seen anybody, engineers from the RD or anywhere else coming and inspecting for corrosion and treating the corrosions and to prevent disaster in the future.
That's true. So, looking to the future, being a senior profession in the field, what does the next generation of civil engineers have in store for them? Do you see a positive future for them? Since COVID and everything came up, we had projects closed down. So what do you think about it?
Civil engineers will be needed as long as life goes on, because there's so much to do actually. They have never stopped. Look at the hydro schemes. There again, now we are having issues with some of the hydro projects with water leakages and things like that. So like that, the civil engineers' input will be necessary as long as life goes on. So, as I said, it is it caters to the bare essentials of human beings, and that is the important thing that the young engineers must remember. Whatever you do, it must be sustainable so that the people can enjoy those facilities.
Yes, that truth is actually quite motivating for us as well. So, let me ask a question out of your career. So, what passions or hobbies outside the career do you have?
Well, I've been a cricketer from my young days. I captained the Nalanda under 14 and I played for St. Aloysius and played for Ananda. Unfortunately, I was not allowed to play in the big match at Ananda Nalanda because in my second year actually the inside net system came in actually, and there was a net system, and we used to practice from 2 o'clock till 6:30, and the coach was insisting that we must go to the night nets and play some more, practice some more, and I was studying for my A-levels at that time, so I refused actually to do that, and he said, I will make sure you don't play for the big place. I said, that's okay, sir. I will play cricket after I graduate, which is what I did. And I played cricket till I was 59 years old. But now I have taken to golf. So even at my age of 86 years, I'm still able to play some golf and keep my physical conditions a lot stabler than people of my age.
That's wonderful, sir. So, if you had to start over, would you choose the same profession? If not, why not?
I will be wanting to be a civil engineer true and true, actually. There's no change in my life. That's why I said when I went to England to come back quickly, and I was thinking of doing electrical, and when things were not working, the first choice and the final choice is civil engineering.
That's really great. So, moving on to the last question of today's segment, do you have any missed opportunities you look back on from your career path?
I don't think so. Whatever I did, it had been hard to achieve. I will say that much. It had been hard, and I had to take through a devious route to get to my engineering degree. That notwithstanding, I don't think I had any problems, because what is important is having a determined mind to go towards the goal, and that's my advice to all the young engineers. Fix your target, what you want to be. If you want to be a specialist in a field, be the specialist. But if you want to be a general person, be the general person, and serve the country and the people as best as you can.
Thank you for sharing your experience and insight with us, Engineer Ranjith Thabrew. We truly appreciate your time and valuable contributions to the field of civil engineering from what you said. So it was actually evident for us how successful life can be when you are determined on a set path. So thank you. I hope we had a great discussion today. Thank you for joining with us.
Thank you, Hasani, for the interview, and I also must thank SLAice for inviting me to take part in the discussion. Actually, SLAice is the local branch of civil engineering in Sri Lanka, and I was the secretary from 1913 to 2013 for quite a few years, when Professor Dayantha Wijayasekara was the president of the association, and even Mr. Kulasinghe was a member of the society at that time. So from the time SLAice was initiated, I have been a member, and even though I'm not in the committee, they'll seek my advice, and I'm very happy to help them. And also my the association with the civil engineering department now comes to, I joined them in 1965, so that's 35 plus 24, 59 years. And I've got a certificate from the institution commemorating my 50th year of membership at the institution. Thank you once again for this interview.